Cha-cha. Are we in? Yeah, we're in. Okay. Excuse me. Welcome to the what is this? 4th of July, Independence Day weekend. I for the journey through photography. I'm Greg Claiborne, and that my friend down there is Kenneth Nelson, and the guy sitting next to him is Mark Skinner. And I'm not voguing. I know like voguing. Those guys are old. Anyway, yeah, this is a journey through photography. We get together. We've got tons and tons of experience in commercial and fine art photography. We're still photographing. We love photography in all its emanations. And we get together not as frequently as we'd like to. This is kind of like a coffee table talk, but you see, we don't have coffee tables. But today's topic is my topic, and my topic is a new journey. I'm about to embark. I'm back here in Los Angeles, sunny Los Angeles, LA, and I am ready to start looking for a new camera and a new view on life. So I am enlisting my good buds Ken and Mark because they are the tech guys and they're sending all this information on the when we're off camera about different cameras, what they're doing, and changes in techniques, different photographers doing different genres, and of course AI, which is like the biggest incredible thing happened to the planet. I want to say the art. Here we are. So I want to kick it off. Either one of you guys jump in because I would, man, if I could punch a hole in this table and take cameras with like a pinhole picnic table, I'd do it. But you guys know what's latest, greatest, and I'd like something compact and versatile and lots of megapixels. Something. What do you guys recommend?
Mark, you can take the lead.
Well, for the sake of the folks viewing, what exactly do you want to photograph with your camera?
Oh, okay. Probably I want to keep doing photojournalism. I know I'd like to, since I'm, you know, here in the city for it, I would like try to get back into media and uh, film and man, some of everything. I just want to start new. I want to start
Well,
something
well,
fresh.
I guess ultimately the real question is,
Uh,
how will your images be viewed in there primarily? Will they be viewed primarily on phones, billboards, on the web? Will they be printed? You know, you can go for a lot
that's
of megapixels, or you can go for high speed image capture, or you can go for color accuracy. The real question you should ask yourself is, why are you buying a new camera, and what is the purpose of that new camera?
okay. Um, well, at first, I mean the one of the cameras that I got was when the 25 megapixels came out at the prosumer level, and ran out and got that. I was like, ooh. But after a while, it kind of the camera's ability didn't change. How cameras were being used was changing. You know, um, the impromptu on location shoots. Either for yourself or promotions or for influencers. You need a camera now that can do more than one thing, do it well and seamlessly. So that was my biggest thing because I want to be able to do multiple formats on it. Photography is always going to be close to the vest as far as what I ultimately want to do with them. And I'd like to print big. That's I will do that this trip out to the West Coast. And man, I just wanted to be able to do so many things. So I'll start there. How about that?
Okay,
Does that
let's
does
let's
that
let's
happen?
just try one question first, which would then veer us in the right direction.
Sure.
Film or digital? Not
I
both.
would
Not
have to
both.
say
Either
digital.
or. That
I'd have
that
to say digital just
yeah.
for the speed.
Okay. So that sets us on a path that's different. So
Okay.
right. So okay. You're saying you sort of want to shoot, for the lack of a better term, in a more general. You want an all-around general camera that's good for most situations.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in a way, I've gotten used to, all the functions of apps on my phone, the phone itself, the things the phone can do, and I just want to be able to do something with a little more zip, a little more pop to it, and a little bit more control um, than I can have with the iPhone.
Well, what I was getting at was, are you planning to photograph work that you intend to sell professionally? I mean, that's really, are you just photograph? Do you want something convenient that can fit in your pocket, or do you really want the ability to create professional level images?
Well, most definitely that. I mean, you guys had me thinking about, the Leica and all the whiz bang things Leica can do. But, there's other, the Sony is really nice. It's compact, a little bigger, but it's still a tool that can do multiple things and do them well. And their interconnectivity to other devices and such is another. Um, I would say nice to have. It's almost an essential thing now for unless you want to have, different multiple um, cameras and such that can do all these other things. So I'm not sure I'm answering your question.
No, actually, you're not really. You're giving me a lot of generalizations. You're saying
Okay, good.
you
Ask,
want to
ask
be
the
able to
question again.
photograph everything, and the reason why I say that is because cameras that aren't cell phones are purpose built. I mean, there are the 62 to $100,000 studio cameras that people buy specifically for photographing artwork or for studio work. Then there are cameras that people use just for street, and that there are certain attributes of every camera that make the task a little bit easier depending on what
Hmm.
genre you're going into. Now, if you want something that's just a general good camera, most of the ones that are sold today are adequate. The reason why what I really want to know is, you say you want a new camera, and the question is, what do you really want to do? What is the primary purpose of this camera? I mean, if you're just buying a camera specifically for family gatherings, you don't necessarily want a huge DSLR and a huge lens.
Right, right.
But then again, you might, depending on who you are. So that's why I'm asking,
Understand.
what is it you're trying? What do you want to shoot with it? What do you want to photograph with this new camera?
Um, I mean, ideally, I would like to get back into photojournalism. That and I mean, if I could get myself in a place where I could be on set, as a still photographer, I can add the photojournalism to production photographs. And also, you guys gave me the idea of they said, oh, that one looks like a stock image. Both of you guys have work in the stock goodness gracious, stock imagery realm, and that's definitely something that I want to get into. But I mean, right now my primary thing is to get out and shoot. Because I'm just not doing as much as I used to, and I'd like to get back up to speed with a new versatile today camera. So if I knew nothing about photography, that's not really fair. Okay, so
Well,
what do you got? What do you
well,
what do you recommend?
I would recommend, if you really don't have a specific genre that you want to work in, I would say a Nikon or Nikon Z8 is probably your best bet for all around general purpose, do 90% of what you want to do camera. And yep, if you want to be a little bit more stealthy, and you mentioned journalism, you also mentioned theatrical work, as opposed to a Leica, unless you really need a lot of megapixels, I would recommend a Pixie that uses the Leica lenses. But the new Pixies have 64-bit processing, and they can hold up to 3,000 DNGs in them, and they're pretty good too, from what I understand. And they've got the APS-C, which is the slightly smaller frame size, but they're 26 megapixels. But DxO, that rates all the sensors, they gave them #1 in that format, that APS-C. Then they're #1 in terms of image.
DNG, explain that for folks. DNG.
That's
explain it for me.
It's a digital negative file. It's supposed to be a standard negative file that you can create from your raw files, or some cameras like something like Leicas, they go directly to digital negative files.
Oh my God, I feel that's a really good. That's a lot of really good information, but I felt my brain start like, oh, good. Can I snap the picture?
Well, the real key is what do you want to do? I mean, like a Nikon Z8 doesn't have a shutter, so you'll be able to be stealthy in terms of sound, but you may have to put tape on the label to make sure people don't say, "Hey, that's Nikon, this guy with a huge camera and lens." So the considerations of what environment will you be photographing in, what subject matter will you be photographing, and then ultimately what is your final purpose? If you're going to be making 30 by 40 photographs of the Grand Canyon, mostly, you may not necessarily need a Leica style camera, or excuse me, I should say a rangefinder style camera. You might benefit from a DSLR style mirrorless camera, where you can get the high resolution and you'll see exactly what's in your image, rather than a slight bit of parallax. So
in that range, in that realm of the DSLR, what would be a good pick for that?
Well, I would still suggest in that case the Nikon Z8. Also, I would look into if you're photographing sports and you need to get a lot of fast image capture, that would work. That's about 10 frames per second. But these days, the OM system and the Nikon Z9, they're at 120 frames per second. So depends on what, and that's primarily for action, that kind of photojournalism. So that's really important when you're purchasing a camera, to understand, what your subject matter is, what's required to capture that subject matter, and then ultimately, how will your photographs ultimately be viewed? If you're planning on doing big prints, then megapixels you are almost a must. Then I'll let Ken talk.
Good to me. Yeah, go ahead, Ken. What do you got?
Well, I don't know if you remember this, Greg, but you worked at a camera department for a while.
Yeah.
You recall that?
Like 2 or 3 lives ago, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And do you recall anything that you espoused to any of your customers when they asked you the same question, or you don't have that recall? Because customers came to you asking the same questions you're asking now. The question is, can you recall what information you gave them that you could probably use yourself now? Now, again, this is a while ago, but I think the essence of what is necessary is still there, right? So my first question to you is, do you have an affinity for a name brand? Because I mean, we want to say name brands don't mean anything, but hey, if name brands didn't mean anything, BMW would be out of business. Okay. So the idea is that if you have an affinity for a name brand, right, you have to figure out what the rationale is for it. Is it a rationale, or is it a luxury thing? and whether you can deal with the luxury of not having the luxury and just having the real bare bones thing. And
Yeah,
once you can
what you
deal
need.
with that, then you can move on to, well, I'm going to go with the luxury regardless. Then you're going to go with the luxury, right?
Got it.
If you
Okay.
don't care about the luxury, right, and you
Uh,
prefer whatever you used to use because you have an affinity for that brand, then you may
right.
want to continue with that brand because you'll have an affinity to use it more than if you were using another brand. Now, depends, and again, depends on what your affinity is for. If you used the Nikon when you were younger and you have an affinity for that, continue with that and see how it goes. But if you just have this idea that this other name brand is going to do you better without knowing for sure and having the hands-on reaction, then that's sort of going to put you in a little bit of trouble. So it's best to rent to try,
Uh,
and instead of renting to buy. Okay.
right. No, no, you're right. That's a good idea. Go ahead. What? You were making a point. Yeah, I
No,
see.
no, that is the point. The point is that if you don't have that recall of what you were doing as a salesperson in a camera
Uh,
shop, then yeah, then you can't reference those thoughts and ideas. But one of the questions, because I've worked with you, and
uh,
we could be there for upwards of 40 minutes explaining ASA, ISO, and shutter speeds to hundreds of people in a month.
oh my
And
gosh, I forgot all about that.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
okay, because these were people coming into this place, and these were entry level prosumer at the time, right?
Right.
We handled things from 110 stematics to semi pro prosumer 35 millimeter film, and people come in and they're novices, and you basically had to teach them how to operate a camera,
How to use it? Yeah, yeah.
how to use a 35 millimeter SLR.
Okay.
All
I
right.
didn't think of that. Wow. Okay, Ken. Good. Pentax K1000. No, but
Well, Pentax is in the
you're
in
right.
the market with the digital. I think it's the K1, or the K1's
Oh,
old.
is it? Oh, I don't know. I just threw that up there because
Well, again,
that was the
Pentax is in the
go-to camera.
Yeah, Pentax is in the digital market. I'm quite sure they have a prosumer version.
Mhm.
So I mean that's still a possibility as well. I don't know what the price point is, but the price point will be your next consideration, right? How much do you want to spend?
And I grew up with Nikon, so I'm kind of partial to it. But go ahead.
No, well that leads you right there because then that excludes all the other name brands that you really don't have an affinity for. So you've already narrowed down the possibilities.
Well,
No,
believe it or
I
not,
used to shoot Canon, so I'm okay with it.
well,
But go
believe it
ahead,
or
Ken.
not,
I mean,
I
Mark.
would try to not recommend the Nikon because I do, as you say, have an affinity for that brand. But as I did a little bit of research for this topic, because you mentioned it the other day, I said, okay, let me at least give you an informed answer. And although
I'd
Pentax
expect no
makes fine,
less.
well, Pentax makes fine cameras, but the thing is that with the Pixie you can photograph. It's a rangefinder style camera, right? But you can photograph both color and black and white natively in the same unit. And then with the Nikon, because it doesn't have a shutter at all, um, it allows the most quiet operation out of a lot of the DSLR style mirrorless cameras because even though they don't have a mirror, a lot of them still have shutters. And you had mentioned to us that you really wanted to theatrical work, movie set work, quiet seemed to be a very important
Yes.
trying to do.
Yes.
So there's only a few cameras that don't have shutters, and I would recommend a Z9, but that's a very, very specific professional camera with a very high price tag. Um, the Z8 is a little smaller, and therefore uh, a little bit more incognito, if you will. It still has the same versatility, and the price is substantially less. So you get a lot of the features of the top of the line for a little bit less money, and I think that's a great thing.
Does what you lose, let's say, for the less expensive camera is it substantial? I mean, it's not going to disable the camera.
Yeah, well, you know, you lose the bigger battery, so you know you'll have to buy a couple of batteries for your camera.
That's
That's
kind of an expected thing, though, isn't it? I always have spares. One on the charge, one on the camera, one on standby.
yeah. At one point when I was photographing sports a lot, I used to carry 5 batteries and 2 bodies, and I made sure that the bodies that I owned used the same battery, so that
Right.
so they were interchangeable.
Nothing like running out of juice in the middle of a shoot, or come to the end of the shoot and they say, "Oh, we need this one more thing." I'm like, "Dude, I get you."
Yeah, it really depends on, like, it really is about what are you going to photograph. And I know when I used to photograph some of the plays I used to photograph, yes, it was very bothersome that I had that mirror flip flopping, you know, every time I'd take an image. And the other thing that I found very disturbing when I would photograph was the fact that the viewfinder had a light. You know, the mirrorless cameras, it's a video
It
feed.
wasn't a because it
Right.
wasn't an
So,
SLR. The background lit up.
right. So I'd be photographing the actors on stage, and there was still a light headed toward my face, and I didn't like. I didn't like that. Even if you turn off the back or turn down the back, still had that viewfinder light. So there are a lot of considerations. That's why I also mentioned that with that rangefinder, because you don't have that issue of having a light emanating uh, that could disturb the performance of what you're photographing. So I went with quiet. I went with high megapixels. I think the Z8 is either 40 or 45. It's way up there. Um,
What are you talking like $4,500?
no. Well, it's a little high, a little more expensive than that. I think no, it's like $2,000, something like that.
3K for the body, I take it, or
Yeah, it's
go
about
ahead.
okay for the body. I mean, if I'll just quickly look at it for you, since
No, go ahead. How
um,
much you want
but it's like,
So
well, yeah, but but I mean, you'll probably get about 10 years out of it before you
I could do that.
feel compelled to change it.
Maybe I'm getting a little rough on my gear, but yeah, man.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah.
what
Oh,
what
cool. You got that picture up.
yes, so
Go ahead.
what about this photograph that moves you, and what do you think you'll need to accomplish taking this photograph? What do you need from your camera in order to accomplish a photograph such as this?
Um, well, this one, well, okay. I mean, you guys have heard about the algae bloom in the Pacific that's sickening a lot of the sea lions that are, some are washing up on shore, some are uh, coming in contact with humans. They're right on public beaches, and it's causing, environmental hazard. Um, but the first day I was out there, I was like, oh, well, that's too bad. I kept on, on my walk. The next time I came out just for them, and I, beach. Well, I'll say Southern California. Well, it's this place um, offers challenges in lighting situations, and between the marine layer, you get a really nice soft light on everything. But I wanted a camera that could, well, I mean, they to have the full program settings, fully automatic settings, but fully manual too, so that I can, tweak through the viewfinder, or if I put filters on there or something, or if I'm shooting for a particular area of light, or like this one, I wanted to make sure that I got, captured the water uh, in a freeze frame. So, uh,
I
what?
would figure that one of the main features you'd want if you would do something like this would be weather sealing. So you'd have to consider whether you want a weather sealed camera or not, whether
Hmm,
you want your camera protected from the elements to a
right,
degree so as not to break the camera. So
right.
that would lead you down a certain road, right?
I was thinking of getting the GoPro. The GoPro, the new GoPro is just absolutely amazing. and it's totally quiet, and it does everything in high definition. It doesn't do stills necessarily, but if I pull it and pop it in the computer, I can do quite a bit in either Lightroom or Photoshop.
Hmm.
But
So
go
you've
ahead. Sorry.
submitted two images to us, and both those
Yes.
images are on the water. So I would
Yes.
consider that to be a very important feature of your photography, which would either I would say it would be recommended that you'd have a camera that has weather sealing. So that would probably be a prerequisite for a camera that you're purchasing.
I agree. I hear what you're saying. I appreciate that. That's something that I need to think about. But this is kind of more of where I am, not necessarily what I'm doing. Does that make any sense? I needed to be at the beach for, like a self-care day.
Right, but here's the thing. The question that Ken's getting at is: are you someone who photographs at the beach in the future? Will you be photographing at the beach?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Well, then he's got a very valid point. Then you might look into some of the OM system photographs of cameras. Those cameras have a tendency to be weather sealed.
I'm sorry, you got fainter and fainter. What was that, Mark?
The OM system cameras, they're micro four thirds, but
Okay.
and I've never used them, quite honestly. But from what I understand, they're very rugged. I'm looking at the website now. It says they're very rugged.
Okay. All right. But I am Groot.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to understand what task are you trying to accomplish. Will you be going to, a theater? Will you be going to the beach? Will you be doing, uh, you know, high school graduations? What is the purpose of this unit in your possession? And that's number one. And
It can.
know
That's
what
kind of it's kind of hard to answer because I'm gonna be on the beach today and in the woods tomorrow and like in the mountains on the weekend or something. I don't know, but I do. I know I need a versatile camera, and I know that's a good idea about getting a camera that does have the condensation sealants, or what is it called, Ken? Like a
Weather sealing.
weather sealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, Surfside is humid. Forests are humid. Um, this is Southern
I
California,
mean,
so
and again, in absence of weather sealing, you could always insure your camera gear.
that's
well,
true.
you don't want to do that.
I know,
You know,
but
why
hey,
not?
those are options, but one may not protect against the other. So I want to make that clear.
No, that's a real thing. A lot of people would probably like to know whether they should, insure their gear or not. I mean, if it's going to be your livelihood
Well, yeah, I mean you want to, but I mean the thing is that
or
you
your
have,
side hustle, if it's a
well,
side hustle, you want to make sure your gear is, cared for.
you have to the idea of ensuring your how quickly can you replace it if something were helpful to happen. I mean, if you have a camera and you were to drop it, is it worth the premium, or is it cheaper to not
Wait,
pay?
wait, wait. You said that wrong. If you should drop your camera, God forbid, then you continue. We
Right,
don't we don't talk
but
about dropping the cameras.
But I mean, if the camera, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. I have a Nikon D7000. Right?
Don't give me nightmares, Mark.
No, no,
That's one of my nightmares.
but here
Dropping camera equipment.
the
Ken just sent a picture. Do you have that picture, Ken? Pull that picture up.
The
The oops picture.
D7000 not really worth more than at this point $200. So
Ah,
why would I pay to insure it at this point?
man.
It's life.
If I could wrap two straps around that camera so they'd be close to like or that rifle mount where it's slung around you, the camera's attached to that a couple
Right,
of times to
right.
yeah.
But you see what I'm saying, right? I mean, if it's only worth $200 at this point, why would I pay a monthly premium?
You're still giving me the heebie-jeebies, man. Just I don't care. 'Cause I always have like a moment of silence,
You,
when the
I,
lens goes down.
Yeah, but my point is that in the real world, we talk about the possibility of damage, and
Okay.
I'm talking about whether it's viable to insure that particular unit because
May not be worth it. The insurance might be
yeah,
worth more than the camera.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Not
Okay,
Okay.
gentlemen,
and
we've reached the
and
30-minute mark
okay,
for
Cool.
this episode. So,
right.
Yeah,
Let's
uh,
we can talk about it. And
and
I'll let you guys know what camera I get, and we'll go from there. Let us know that how much I miss New York and all the noise and
and we we're to let everyone know the sirens are coming from The siren sounds are coming from
California.
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 It's
It's
not New
good. We're
York.
good.
New York, yeah, really, not New York. Oh, Greg, I have to ask you a question. In
Go
this
ahead.
conversation, do you have any ideas about what you would, you know, what you
What I
would
would
buy,
do.
or
Uh,
what you look for when you're buying a camera?
I was actually looking at the Sony mirrorless and nothing serious. I'm still in preliminary, what do you call that? Just recon, seeing what's out there, seeing what they can do, if there's any whiz bang stuff on the horizon. We're just doing it's
Hey,
exploratory right now.
the brands we didn't mention were Sony, Panasonic, Fujifilm, and Canon. They all make great cameras. But because you asked me about this, I did the research about which of those four, the big four, including Nikon and the other ones, would be best suited for the range kind of a photography that I'm aware that you like to do. And I'm really thinking that the Z8's probably your best bet. It's $4,000 apparently, not three,
For
but
the body,
that's your best bet. But you didn't specify a price. Now, if you told me $4,000 is way too much, I would have
okay,
found something a little bit
okay,
less.
you do that.
Well,
Hit me with a couple of less expensive
well,
options.
well, there are alternatives, but
Okay,
based on like I said, you'll get 10 years out of it. You buy something a little less expensive, you will probably get 5 years out of it. Those are the considerations. How many years you're going to get out of it? What do you want to photograph with it? How large, you want your prints to be? And those are the big considerations. And then when you know all of what you want to do, then you can kind of cut back on price. Hey, if I were a street photographer exclusively, I'd be very tempted to say I really need the Phase One XC $62,000 mobile camera with the 150 that megapixel back. I'd be
see
tempted to try it.
that's why I'm friends with you guys. See,
I,
this stuff is
I,
like I can
I mean,
feel my brain drifting. It's like, oh,
right. But as you mentioned to me the other day, it's not about me. So I wouldn't buy that, but it's not about
oh
me.
no,
I can buy that.
no. Well, you might. I mean, I might.
There
You
you go.
never know. Some
And
days you gotta have me days.
right. And it's 150 megapixels. Anything you photograph, you'll at least be able to get, high quality images. So there you go. It isn't autofocus though. So you might have to work a little.
Is that the rangefinder? Right? Because I haven't looked at it. Yeah.
I don't think it's
No.
quite a rangefinder. It's a mobile. It's the Phase
No
One.
autofocus. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Phase One XC. They just announced it a few days ago, at least as of
Okay.
this
Okay. I gotta look that up.
as of this recording. I mean, it looks like a really good companion to the the XF rather. If you have the XF for your studio work and you want to be able to slap the back on something a little bit less bulky and do some more.
You're like light years ahead of me, Mark. Let me catch up. I will let you guys know. Was there anything else you guys wanted to say? Because I don't want Tim's want to wrap this up, and I know he wants to go catch a baseball game and watch the Mets kick butt or something. But you guys got anything?
Just 2 words.
Uh oh.
Test drive.
Play ball test drive. Good. Okay. All right. Cool. I could do that.
I would recommend borrow lenses, and what's Adorama also has lenses. So I mean, it's a lot. So there you go.
I don't know. I get weird. Last time I was waited on a weekend and did some shooting downtown.
Yeah.
I get the strangest reactions. The security guards are like, "Hey, you're acting suspiciously." I'm like, I'm taking pictures.
Well, there you go. You might need something a little bit more discreet, like a Pixie. So there's a lot
Well,
of.
okay, I'll look that up too.
Yeah.
I got stopped in Sacramento. I was, early morning. I saw the light. I saw the clouds. Went and took some pictures of some bridges over the Sacramento River. Drum, whoop, whoop, whoop. I get lighted. The guy wants to look at my picture. Why am I taking pictures of the bridge? I'm a photographer. You're acting
Well,
suspiciously. Okay, whatever.
No, but like I said, I think there's a range of products out there from a variety of manufacturers. You really just have to know what you want to do with it.
I got to look at that Pixie. That sounds like fun. Just if for no other reason
And
than
it's
to see a camera named Pixie.
Yeah, it's PIXII, and it's and the camera's upgradable as well, which is really kind of cool. When they have upgrades to their system, they allow you to send it back for an upgrade fee, and they'll upgrade the cameras.
Oh,
You're
cool.
accumulating camera bodies just to get updated technology, and it's got built-in. Here's the other one. It's got
Sounds
built-in.
like the future.
It's got built-in.
Sounds like
no back panel display.
built-in what? Memory?
Yeah, built-in memory. The
Oh
it's got
yeah, I know what
SSD
memory
card,
is.
SSD built into it, as opposed to putting SD cards in and so all of that.
Yeah,
So
but that requires that you dump your pictures every time you use it.
it holds 3,000 photos, DNG.
Okay.
So you're okay. I think they're 26 megapixels, but it's a pretty good.
I could shoot 3,000 pictures.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
you could, but it's similar to the experience we had with film, right? Where you didn't see everything all at once. However, if you want, it has an app that connects with your phone, and you can use that as a electronic viewfinder and fine tune focus if you want. It's
All right. All right. Before we roll on to something else, are we good for time, Ken, or do we? Because I want to ask you what you guys thought of those images, but that's just here and there.
I think they're very nice. I like them.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was pretty impressed with those images, and I liked them a lot. I think
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna make a quip about you being a salty sea dog, but you already told me they were sea lions, so I can't use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. They kind of look like.
And then I was gonna say something also about how much do you want to branch out with your photography, and I can't use that one either. So
Branch out. You could almost do it on the other one.
yeah.
very lovely.
So what is that?
Those were done with a phone. Those were done with a telephone.
Actually, they were.
Yeah, they're
But
very.
they did this one. What do you guys think that is?
Looks like a branch on a tree above a cliff.
Above a cliff. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, of course, we what we see, or I assume, are tree branches. They're very intriguing tree branches because they have a certain quality as they branch out, which is very unusual. They sort of go perpendicular to the branches instead of going at a sort of a 45-degree angle. So it's a kind of interesting tree.
Okay.
It's almost like a Poseidon. What is it? A trident.
You tried it.
Yeah, they look like sort of tridents.
Is that Barbados that you took that one?
Santa Monica.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Well, those are two lovely photographs.
Yeah, nice
thank
layering.
you.
Nice layering.
Would you guys believe me if I said I was actually a sea fan?
No, I wouldn't believe you.
Well, and Mark, any no sea fans? No?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, well, that it's about this big. I'll show it to you another time. But okay, all right, fellas, that's about it. That's gonna do it for this journey through photography. All right. Okay, and I'm Greg Leghorn, and that's Ken Nelson, and that's Mark Skinner. And please subscribe. We talk about photography. If there's a topic you want to talk about, we'd be happy to chit chat or bring you in live or whatever. Hit
And
the
I'm
subscribe
glad
button
to
and
see
the ring bell so you're reminded when we have another episode online. Go ahead, Mark. What?
I'm glad to see you're interested in the camera. That's very good.
I am. I'm feeling not quite situated here on the West Coast, but it's getting there. It's changed a lot since the last time I was here. Or maybe I've changed. Who knows? I'll keep you posted. And yes, I am interested in the camera, and that's going to be an ongoing thing. I'll start shooting stuff. I'll show you which ones I got, why, and maybe I'll do some tests or whatever. You guys can give me some more pointers because you are the guys. You're the guys. Okay. You got anything else, fellas? As I feel just chatty today. You good?
Good.
You good?
Good.
All right. This is a journey through photography. See you next time. Keep shooting.